Hello and welcome back to the sixth episode of the Tower Sports Advising Podcast. Today's special guest is Adam Goss, head coach of the University of St. Joseph, Hartford.
What's going on, Zach? Thanks for having me.
No problem. All right, Goss, I want to dive into your playing career a little bit here. 2018 graduate of Franklin Pierce University, 4-year member of the Ravens baseball program, #1 Division II team in the country in 2016. A left-handed specialist, Goss struck out 47 batters in 34.2 innings of work during his career. For an average of 12.2 strikeouts per 9. The Ravens made 3 NCAA Division II tournament appearances during the span of 2015 to 2018, advancing to the D2 College World Series in 2016. Franklin Pierce posted a combined record of 162, 43, and 1 while Goss was a member of the program, which equates to a .789 winning percentage. First question I have for you is, after playing at Franklin Pierce for a 4-year college career, what were the big takeaways for you in your playing career with the Ravens?
Yeah, first off, I was going through the questions and thinking about that one on my writing this morning. I had no business being a part of those teams. From like a talent perspective, so what I learned is just how to win. And like those teams, being a relief pitcher, like I got to kind of just sit back and watch guys just watch Coach King work. I wish I paid more attention to him. When I played for Coach King, for those of you that don't know, he's now at Vanderbilt. I didn't know I wanted to be a college coach yet. So looking back, like I wish I took a lot from him and just like what a program's supposed to look like and what it takes from a talent perspective. But I wish I paid more attention to him at that time. But just being around players that were way more talented than me, and just seeing like what it's supposed to look like, that's definitely the key takeaway. And I remember like especially those first couple years, showing up to the field and like, I don't even remember what our records were, but it was stupid, like 48-2 or something. Like it wasn't like, are we going to win today? It was how much are we going to win by? So like when I talk to our team now about like forgetting how to lose, when we lost there, we truly were like in shock. And like we played some good teams. Like Southern New Hampshire at one point was the #2 team in the country when we were #1, and we played them and like we beat them. But like if we were to lose, like we truly like didn't like it took us like 24 hours to be like, whoa, we just lost. So that's the biggest thing. And just knowing what it's supposed to look like, knowing like what a program, like the foundation of what it's supposed to be built on, and then how to win and forgetting how to lose.
I think a cool point too of kind of what you just said is like forgetting how to lose, because it's like how many teams can go into a full season of like, all right, we're expected to lose maybe 4 games a year for 4 years straight or whatever it may be. In today's world, like that's not a realistic thing, but it's like between us and SNU, that was almost expected every year.
And it was weird because maybe it's because I would go in and face a couple of guys at a time, maybe usually just one. So like maybe this is why, but like it never felt like pressure. It was just like, that's what's supposed to happen. And I think the reason why, so in my recruiting process, I was deciding between Franklin Pierce and Nichols College, who long story, like full circle moment, I ended up coaching there. But the reason why I chose Franklin Pierce is I was sitting in my room one night and I was like looking on the website, and I had all of their World Series appearances at the bottom of the website. And it was at least once every 4 years they went to a World Series. And I was like, if I go here, I'm basically guaranteed to play in a College World Series. And was lucky enough to be a part of that. But like the foundation was set before us. We're like, you're going to be good because you're supposed to be. Like it was weird. Like I don't know. It never felt like pressure. Like even when we lost, it was just like, we're really, really, really good. So yeah, it was a wild time.
All right, moving on into the question number 2. What do you think was the most important aspect of the game that made you guys so successful at Franklin Pierce in your 4 years?
Pitching. Especially the first 2 years, like I think we led the country in ERA both years. We didn't walk anybody, and right now we're on our staff, we're having a little bit of a walk problem. And made me look like kind of just looking at other teams across the country, across New England, everybody has a walk problem on their pitching staffs to varying degrees. Like my goal every year is to have our strikeout to walk ratio be 3-1. We're like 2-1 right now. And looking at some other teams, they would be very happy with a 2-to-1 ratio. So strike throwing is a dying art in our game. Franklin Pierce, if you didn't throw strikes, you didn't play. Like, and when I say you didn't play, like you were lucky to throw in inner squads. I think you can
You didn't
attest to
touch the field.
yeah, like you were like behind charting and like shagging foul balls. Like coach just had zero time for it. So that was it. Like stuff, obviously, like I mean, you had to hit against them. Like we had some dudes, but those dudes also put the ball over the white thing, and that's why they pitched, and that's why I don't want to talk about me a lot, but the point is I was not talented enough to pitch at Franklin on the number 1 Division II team in the country. I just wasn't. But what I did is I threw strikes. And so like turning that to like my coaching philosophy is I want guys that can throw strikes. And if you throw strikes, you'll pitch. And if you don't, you won't. And now that other teams are, and not just other teams, really everybody is having problems with it. If you can have a staff that throws strikes, you have a significant advantage. And we're not there yet. We're not even close to where I want to be with our staff. But there's a big emphasis on it.
I forget who I was talking to, and I remember my first year at Pierce after I transferred from UMass. The knock of the Northeast back in our playing days essentially was, guys, if you could throw it on the outer third of the plate, that's pretty much where you were going to throw your fastball, no matter who you were, righty or lefty. And I think for you, it's like, I met you during summer ball the year before I transferred. I think that was the first time I met you when you were playing in Bristol. And I got to face you. Like, you didn't face righties, but it's like, dude, you were still effective enough to face a righty. Now, when we got to our season, you would come in and face that one lefty every game, but you did your job. And I think a lot of college baseball now is getting away from doing your job. And it's like, how can I help the team more? Like each podcast that I've done, each coach has talked about a different player, let's say, of like doing your job and what they're good at. Like you could have that guy that's a defensive specialist. You have that guy that can hit. Like we go back to Friday, the kid could hit in any situation. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think kids get away from the aspect of just doing their job. And it's like every kid on the team has a job. And I think an important part of that as we go forward is like kids are losing that sense of like, all right, do my job, right? Your number 1 guy should be your guy that throws strikes. In today's world, I feel like more number 1s are like, how high is my velo? What was my spin rate? And they get away from a lot of, all right, at the end of the day, it's going back and throwing strikes.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's not even it's a generational thing, I think. And I don't even think it's necessarily their fault. It's the environment they grew up in. Just instant gratification. So like in the recruiting process, I'm sure I know we're going to talk about that, but like they're not always looking for the right things in the recruiting process. And then they get to school and they're not, young players especially like back in like when I say back in the day, I'm only 28 years old, but like if you got on the field as a freshman, it was like for one opportunity, that's an awesome accomplishment. And now it's like they constantly want more. They constantly want more. And that can be a good thing. But if you don't channel it in the right way, looking for the right outcomes and the right things, it could be a huge negative too. So finding your role and sticking to it and being able to excel in it and understand like that's your way to help the team win. Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to face more righties, but I knew that we had guys from the right side that were low 90s with a hammer that were just better at it than I was. And I was never going to be that guy. And I was never going to throw upper 80s. And like, it is what it is. And I could help the team win. And at the end of the day, like, your goal should be to want to win. It's not, what can I do to look good on Instagram or, put my name in the portal and move up. Like, that'll happen if you do the right things right. So it's hard for some of these guys to look in the short term and understand that that'll positively affect their long term as well. Just kind of looking at what's in front of you. Definitely something that's kind of a lost art. Some guys are great at it. It's not a problem at all, but definitely happy you brought that up because it's definitely pretty common.
I think I've said it on a couple podcasts now, but if you got, let's say, 5 innings on the mound or 10 at bats your freshman year, like that was a successful freshman year 10 years ago. And now kids are more into like, am I going to play freshman year? Like there's no foundation built for you there of like, all right, what do you deserve to get 10 at bats? And kids are like, well, they want more, more, and more. And kids, I feel like nowadays in the recruiting process, aren't willing to put in more. And those kids that put in more are the kids that end up excelling and committing earlier because they're doing something with their lives instead of kind of like you said, of the posting it on social media. Well, that's great. That opens eyes. But then you go back to what else are you doing on your own when you're not posting on social media?
Yeah, I love when guys ask me. So first of all, like I want guys that want to play as freshmen because if you don't, then like what are we doing here? Uh, but when I'm asked that question, am I going to play as a freshman or will I have an opportunity to play as a freshman? I just tell them I have no idea. Like I don't care who they are. Like they could be 90 from the left side. Like if it goes to the backstop every time, guess what? Like, no, you're not gonna play as a freshman. It's 100% dependent on them when they get here. Every year, like there's no science to especially college baseball recruiting. We do our best to like see guys a lot and know what we're getting when they get here, but we've been surprised for better or for worse many times when guys get on campus as freshmen and guys that come here and compete and the switch turns on and something clicks and they're really, really good or better than they thought they were going to be, than we thought they were going to be, they're going to play. So we just present the opportunity, like us recruiting you and you coming here is an opportunity to earn a another opportunity as a freshman, and then what you do with that is it's 100% up to you. And that's how it is in life too. And we talk a lot about like teaching the game of life through baseball, and that's how life is. Like, you just need to do the next right thing and make the right decision and work really hard when sounds really cliche, but when nobody's looking, just for the chance to get a chance. And what you do with that opportunity is it's on you, and you have nobody else to blame or take the success than yourself. So
I think the cool part of there is like life in baseball, right? Like after your 4 years are done, like life starts. And I think I tell kids all the time, I'm like, your life starts in college, but you playing that college sport makes you a better person. Like your work ethic changes, right? And then you go into time management, which most kids in college that are normal students don't have because you have to wake up for lift, you have to go to class, you have to eat breakfast, then you have to go to early work, then you have to go to practice, then you might have to go to study hall. And that happens every day for 4 years. So you go back to these kids of like, are you going to take the athlete or are you going to take the normal student? Well, I'm going to take the athlete if they applied themselves in those 4 years of college because they got something out of it. Let's say they never played an inning in their life, but at least they had the work ethic to do something after college and
you
gave them
almost
that
go ahead. Sorry.
opportunity of like, all right, I have something better than when I had coming out of high school.
You
And
almost
just
learn
be
more from the kid that doesn't play than the kid that does. Like the kid that puts in all the work and doesn't get the opportunity. Like if I'm an employer, I wanna hire that guy. But yeah, there's so many life lessons in baseball, all the stuff that you just mentioned. But like for me, I always tell like the first time I get on the phone, whether it's with one of your guys or whoever, like one of the first things I say is like, I want to be invited to your wedding someday. Like I want to, when you have a kid, I want a picture. Like it's about like the relationship aspect too. In baseball, I forget who I heard it from. It was recently, but like baseball is one of the most relationship driven sports that there is because there's so much like free time and just like being with your friends. Like think about like one batting practice session, sitting in the outfield shagging, the conversations that you can have with people in one practice, like that aspect too. And for me, like I just want to develop good people that learn valuable life lessons from our program. So when they do graduate from here, obviously, like I'm lucky to coach at a really good school, and the academics are going to take care of themselves. And we have a high expectation for the academic portion too. But in the program, the time commitment and the relationships, and maturing and developing into responsible young men is a huge part of what we do.
all right, let's move on a little bit into your coaching career. So in 2019, you started coaching career at Nichols College for 3 seasons as the assistant pitching coach and recruiting coordinator. In your first season with the Bison, you established several single season records, one including home runs with 29, on base percentage at 444, slugging percentage at 542, and the second highest team batting average of all time at 343. Also in that season, your pitching staff held opponents to a .256 batting average for the fourth lowest mark in Nichols history. Your career record with the Bison was 44-31. In 2022, you got the head coaching job at USJ, becoming the first head coach in school history. In his first season with the Blue Jays in 2023, the Blue Jays had a 17-22-1 overall record with an 8-8 record in the GNAC. Blue Jays entered the GNAC playoff as the 6th seed, winning their first postseason win in program history, defeating LaSalle. In 2024, you coached 5 all GNAC selections and 3 GNAC Player of the Weeks. Adam, can you explain the differences in coaching at Nichols and USJ? I know it's kind of like you said, that full circle moment. So now we can kind of circle back to that.
Yeah, safe to say that I wouldn't be even close to where I am now if it wasn't for the program at Nichols, Coach Mayo over there, and Coach Puccio too, who hired me first and is now at Penn State. I learned how to work there. There could be a lot of there's obstacles everywhere, first of all, but like there could be there's obstacles there. And what Coach Mayo taught me is just to try to outwork everybody. That's one of their mottos over there, is outwork everyone. And be where other programs aren't. So learned how to recruit there, learned how to work really, really hard. And learned how to win too. Like we had some success, and last year they were awesome. They had 2 All-Americans, 2 guys transferred up to pretty good Division I programs. So I learned a lot, and Coach Mayo gave me an opportunity truly that I didn't deserve when he gave it to me. Being a first-year coach, period, to get promoted when he got the job to lead assistant kind of just definitely helped me accelerate my career. So I'm forever indebted to him. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on a podcast. Like I truly, truly believe that. And it was a perfect thing here because to start the program here, it took an incredible amount of work. Going from a place that taught me how to work really, really hard to a place that, we have some really good resources here. But it's taken a lot of work to even get to where we are now. We're 10-8 and 2-0 in league, and that's not even close to where I want to be. But starting out, I tell families and really anybody that wants to listen, our junior class right now, who are technically sophomores on the field, when they committed here and when they visited here, we didn't have like baseballs, like a single baseball was not on this campus. They committed to a vision, and they just trusted me. I told them what I wanted it to look like, and they bought in. And now we're really lucky to be where we are. Again, it's not even close to a finished product. But to have, the field and the facilities and the indoor cages and everything that we have, we owe it to that first group that toured a school that never had baseball before. And again, like it sounds stupid and cliche, but literally didn't have baseballs on campus. The program was me, my laptop, and a notepad. That was our baseball program at that time. I went through, and so I started on March 22nd of 2022. We had 0 players, obviously. I started with just a stack of recruiting notes like this thick. And if you played baseball, I was reaching out to you, and obviously reaching out to connections. But if you play baseball and you were uncommitted and I had any notes on you, I was texting you, and just trying to get, as many good players as I possibly could. And we got really, really lucky. And truthfully, this is a whole other conversation, but COVID had a big impact on it because that 2022 class, the summer of 2021, previous summer, was still slightly impacted by COVID restrictions. So some of these guys that are currently here, if COVID wasn't a thing and their recruiting processes were more normalized, probably wouldn't have been available as late as they were. We're talking late March of their senior years. So even just like going off of our lineup yesterday, one of our starting catchers, our starting shortstop, our starting left fielder, our starting center fielder, and our starting first base, he was a transfer. So, that's a good portion of our starting lineup that we got in that first class. And there's pitchers and there's other guys too that we have that were uncommitted that late into their senior year. So it was a wild time. Hopefully never have to do it again. Should never have to do it again. Building a team from the ground up is not many people know what it looks like and what it takes. And it was crazy.
I think a cool part for you too is like you've seen the success at Pierce in playing there, obviously. So for you, I think it was a little bit easier throwing you into that situation compared to anyone else, really, because it's like you said, you built your coaching mindset off of guys that have coached you. And again, you've had that success in being part of those programs. All right, moving on to the next question. I know you answered a little bit of it, but can you give a breakdown of what it looked like for you from kind of that first day entering as USJ's head coach of the program and having to recruit that entire team for that following season?
Yeah, so kind of hit on it a little bit, but again, just like knowing really what I wanted it to look like was huge because I had nothing to show these guys. So like, and what you just said was a huge part of it, like relying on where I had been and what I had been taught by really, really talented coaches and people. Not even just Coach King is a huge part of it. Coach Mayo is a huge part of it, but even going back to like my youth years at Waterford High, being from a baseball town, just knowing like what winning baseball looks like. I really just relied on that and just stuck to my message, tried to stay consistent and like knowing and being upfront with guys and families that like this is going to take a little bit of time, but also like we're going to try to get this normal as fast as possible because I mean we were bringing in good baseball players. Like they didn't want to be here for waste 4 years of their college careers. So that was a huge goal of mine. Was like, yeah, this is going to take time. Yeah, we got to like kind of work really, really hard at it, but also like we owe it to them from a coaching perspective. We owe it to them to be as good as we can, as fast as we can. Uh, and then being blessed after started in March of 2022, by December, they're already throwing around the idea of building a brand new field um, on campus. It started off as like, oh, we're going to have a practice field. And then we went full steam ahead into a turf field. So that I had nothing to do with that. I'm blessed to be at a place that's really supportive and with really good leadership. So that's just luck. Like we got really lucky and now we have no excuse to not be really good. That's, I say that to our staff all the time. Like, my lead assistant just got a full-time job on campus. Not just baseball, but he works in admissions too. We have the facilities, we have really good players. Like we have zero excuse to not be good now. So a huge goal of mine was to be as normal as possible, as fast as possible. We're now in our third like full season, second official season. Um, I'm happy with where we're at. Again, like we're not even close to a finished product. For me, a finished product is turning this into a Division III Franklin Pierce because that's what I've known. In my mind, you ask me like, what is a college baseball program supposed to look like? It's supposed to look like 46-4. So until we get to that point, we're not even close to finished, but happy with the progress we've made.
So I'd like to throw in a question for the Northeast guys. Obviously, you growing up in Connecticut, me growing up in Mass. What do you think the hardest part about your personal recruitment was growing up in the Northeast?
That I wasn't that good, to be honest. Like, nobody was going to come see me throw. Actually, so I'll never forget this. One of my coaches growing up is Robbie Bono, who's a assistant coach at Central Connecticut. He coached me in Babe Ruth, and he was like one of the best players to ever come out of our town. And I asked him one time, I was like, I mean, I was in high school, I was a left-handed pitcher that threw like 76 to 78. And I was like, I was good. Like I got guys out, but like I remember texting him one night being like, why, like, what am I supposed to do? And he was honest with me. He was just like, no one's going to come watch you throw. Like, no, like you're like, you have to seek it out. So that was definitely it. And it's not necessarily regional specific. Like I wasn't not throwing 90 because I'm from Connecticut. I wasn't blessed with a 90-mile-an-hour arm. So I had to work a little harder to get where I was supposed to be. And so how it worked for me, I got a letter in the mail one time from Coach King. It was just a generic letter asking to go to one of his camps, like everybody gets. And I emailed him and I told him I was interested in Franklin Pierce, and he asked me to come up for a workout. And so I threw a bullpen, like a one-on-one bullpen with Coach King, and he liked what he saw. And Coach King saw something in me that literally nobody else saw. Like, truth be told, I wanted to go to Merrimack. I went to their camp and I threw well, but I wasn't really that good. And other than that, it was Franklin Pierce or it was Nichols. And Nichols back then wasn't what it is now. Like they were.
I joke with my dad all the time. I'm like, Nichols is like a real school compared to when we played.
Yeah, like
it was almost like a made up school, like in the middle of Dudley. Like nobody
you're a
went
Central
there.
Mass guy too, so you can
Right.
attest to that. I think they won 4 games the year before that they were recruiting me.
It was almost like not going to play college baseball, and compared to what Coach Mayo has turned it into now, it's like the school's actually a good school too, which is nice. Mayo's doing a good job with them over there. So it's just crazy how fast 10 years goes by, and it's like this is two different worlds now.
Yeah. So I needed to specify that because that Nichols College that was recruiting me was not the 30-win Nichols College. So it was like go there or go to like try to make the team at Franklin Pierce. Coach King promised me a roster spot, but like just because you're on the team doesn't mean you're playing. But I took a bet on myself. Like I remember like my dad actually. Hopefully Coach King doesn't see this because my dad and Coach King are friends now. My dad wanted me to go to Nichols because he wanted me to like play a lot and like be a starting pitcher and all this stuff. And I was like, no, like I want to be a part of a really good baseball program, and I want to like see how far I can go. Like I know going to Franklin Pierce, I'm gonna have to work really really hard to even get an opportunity. Coach King, I one thing I'll say, like I love Coach King. Like he did a Zoom with our guys. It was like a Zoom call with our guys in the preseason, and he was as expected. He was fantastic. He never once told me something in the recruiting process that wasn't true. Like he never once. He was upfront. He promised me a roster spot. Our first team meeting my freshman year, there was like over 100 guys there, and I was like terrified. Like, there's no way I'm making this team. Made the team. Um, he dropped my arm angle down my first fall, and from there it was just he basically said if you want to get an opportunity, you gotta work really hard and throw your slider a lot. And I did, and it worked.
I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but I committed to Pierce out of high school first. He committed. I remember where I was when I had to call Coach King and be like, hey, I'm not coming here.
Bless you.
And
How'd that go?
I mean, it was tough now that I look at it, because if I would do it all over again, I would have went to Pierce for 4 years. And I think a lot of that I tell our guys that I coach, anyone, like I talk to anybody about it. I'm like, the reason I got the opportunity to go to Pierce after I wanted to transfer was because I did the right thing. I got on the phone and I called him. I'll never forget it. I remember exactly where I was. It was just that eye-opening experience of a lot of things that kids don't do now. And I remember the day I got my transfer papers, King called me like, I want to say it was like an hour later. It might have been less than that. And he was like, I'm not going to hold a grudge. You did the right thing kind of to me when you wanted to decommit and go somewhere else. And I went up there, I think it was either the next day I did a workout or the following day, and I signed my papers there to go to Pierce. And he's like, I'm out of here and I'm going to Army, when he got the assistant job, right? So he was out, but I was like, I kind of owe it to myself to give the opportunity of going to Pierce that opportunity, because I don't know what it's like. And I had the opportunity and I kind of threw it out the window essentially.
One thing, and it's kind of similar. Coach King, if you did the right thing, he always rewarded that. Like guys that were just like good people, and granted, I don't need to say any names, but we had teammates that did stupid stuff. But at the end of the day, if you were a good person and you worked hard and you did the right things, like he rewarded that. And that's like I should have said this earlier. Like, what did I learn there? Like, you don't need to be the most talented guy. Like if you work hard and you just try to do the right thing, like the game of baseball will reward that. And it's something I always appreciated with Coach is like and your story is a perfect example of it too. Like if you did the right thing, at some point he was going to reward you for it. There was way more talented guys than me that didn't do that and didn't get an opportunity.
I think it was the podcast with Andy, Coach Morales. I just talked about jokingly about like when kids would get in trouble at school, and it's like how bad our conditionings were. And we were joking about it because obviously Skip was a Pierce guy as well, so he's used to it. And we were talking about it, and he's like, "Dude, it was this pretty much the same for us." And it's like they built those foundations of like what Coach King would talk about, and it's like if you messed up, like this is going to be the worst day of your life. But it's like the part that I kind of want to touch on is like we all went through those, whether it was 40 guys, 50 guys, however many guys were on the team, right? It was if you don't do this, you're never going to play. And it was like, as no matter how much we argued with each other, it's like we were still friends when we got off the field, and the next day was practice back to normal. And I feel like that culture of that conditioning of like, all right, well, 3 kids skipped class and King found out within 20 minutes of like, you knew you were screwed for that day, but it's like the next day it was just back to normal.
I'll never forget doing scissor kicks down the left field line. And like or it was either scissor kicks or it would be wall sits. And him saying, if your feet go down or you get off the wall, go home and never come back again. And he meant it. Like he actually meant it. Talk about like being terrified. Yeah, the conditionings are a huge part of our program. Just like the mental toughness and like if you made it through that, like snoo on a Saturday, like who cares? Like actually,
And it's like I never got to play for King, obviously, but with Coach Chambers, it was the same. It was the same thing, right? And it was like I listen to the guys that I'm best friends with now from Pierce of like when King would have these things, like it's almost made up to be like, no, that happened,
oh yeah,
but that's why you guys won. Like everyone bought into what he was saying.
it made the games very easy, very easy. It was like games were like vacations compared to conditioning.
I was talking to Livornia the other day of he was like, there was a game that year before I came, so 16 into 2017. And you guys were down, like, it was like the third inning, you were down by like 7 to Merrimack, and it was like, what are we doing here? And I think you beat them by like 10 after that. But it's like just that team aspect of buying into what essentially everybody wanted, not just Coach King.
Yep, and that's how you forgot to lose. It was like all buying into the same thing. We didn't know how to do it.
All right. My last question, kind of about Northeast baseball, is after looking at your roster, almost your entire team is built off of New England guys. What do you personally like about recruiting New England guys?
They're tough. They're really tough. Love my Floridians too. Got some Floridians. So if they see this, Joe and Lawrence, I love you guys. But Northeast guys they're tough. Like there's like for us, there's no excuse to not. They get throwing programs for the like pitchers get throwing programs for the winter. There's no excuse not to follow them. Like you have to get creative. And like for us, we're blessed. Like obviously with the turf field, but even this year, like it was really cold and it was rainy and snowy. Like we were inside a lot, but that's not an excuse not to be ready to compete at the end of February, early March. So, having a lot of guys that have gone through it their whole lives and are like prepare for seasons indoors, like it's really important. That definitely be the biggest thing for me. And obviously the connections that I have, like I'm a Northeast guy. I know you and a bunch of guys, that's probably what I would say about that.
I think so, like the connections part, and we touched on it obviously before we hopped on here, but it's like a lot of recruiting now is connections. It's not saying people are lying about they know this guy, this guy, this guy. They might have played them in college or high school, whatever it may be. But you go back to connections and trusted word of a coach to a coach, which used to be a player to a player or a teammate to a teammate. So you're going back to people putting out your name of like, hey, Coach Tower said this guy was good for your program. And I feel like that's a way kind of in your situation of kids get a chance nowadays of like, all right, they might not be the best player, right? But they're going to get a chance because I suggested them to you or Coach Morales or my brother at Mitchell.
Yeah.
And those kids end up panning out, like you said, kind of after those 4 years of like, because they didn't have a chance and the recruiting process wasn't the easiest thing in the world. And they panned out because they pretty much just bought into what the coach was saying.
Yeah, that relationship's really important. Like the coach to coach to like program direct, whatever it may be. Nothing. One of my biggest. I have a lot of pet peeves in recruiting, but one of my biggest ones is when a coach tells me that this kid's a really good fit for my program when he knows nothing about my program. Like nothing. So that drives me nuts. So like you call me, like I mean, I'm in your brother's conference. Like a lot about it, what we have over here, and it's like so you tell me that someone's a good fit for us. Like I know, number one, you're not going to lie to me, and number two, like you know what you're talking about, not just because we played together, but because you know what you're doing. So yeah, that relationship's really important. And also like in today's day and age, it's hard to lie because everything's Everything's on social media. Like you can't hide. You can't hide from numbers. You can't hide from who you are as a player. It's not like we're reading about you in the newspaper anymore. Yeah, no, that's a good point. The relationship part of it's a huge part of recruiting now.
I think kind of what you said of you can't lie, right? If I know you personally, so I'm going to tell you this guy might be a good fit for your program, but I'm also going to tell you what he's not a good fit for your program for. I think that's a lot of the part of people leave out of like, this kid's really good on the baseball field. Well, he might not be a good student, but he tries in the classroom because he might have a learning disability or something along those
Yeah.
lines. And I feel like that's kind of where that gray area of that trust of coaches kind of goes out the window these days. Of they don't tell you the whole truth. I tell my kids all the time, I'm the first person to tell that college coach every single thing about you. Because if I don't tell them, they're going to find it out.
Yeah, and like what I said earlier on, like I can't say that our program, a huge part of it is like you as a human being and like, developing good young men that are ready to contribute to society. I can't say that that's a huge part of what we do here and then not know everything about the guy that we're getting. Cause like, what are we doing? Like we've turned away some really good players because we've been told, whether it be transfers or incoming freshmen, because we've been told hey, they don't work hard, or hey, like they're not because people know what I look for and they know what I care about. Yeah, the human aspect of it is more important than a lot of times the baseball, because if we're recruiting you for baseball, it means you're good. Like if you're not going to be a human like I spend more time with these guys than I do my family. Like I want guys that make me excited to show up to the field every day, not just because it's my job. Like I'm genuinely excited. We're off today, but I'm genuinely excited for practice tomorrow. Because we have a group of 40, 45 really good people. So I want to know what we're getting in a human being. A lot of times more so than what I'm getting in a player.
Let's move a little bit into recruiting. So, what are you looking for in a recruit when you go to see them play? You can break it up as pitchers and hitters. Is there something that stands out to you about both?
Yeah, pitchers, presence, number one. Presence and strike throwing ability are like the two biggest things. I'm a firm believer, like obviously mechanics are a huge part of throwing strikes, but if you're not a strike thrower, and you haven't been your entire life, I find it hard to believe that you can be taught to be one. Like and that a lot of that is the mental game. So for me, like I want to see how you carry yourself on the mound. I want to see you attack the zone. Like some of the best pitchers I've ever coached are also some of the slowest throwers, like low upper 70s, low 80s guys that can command the strike zone. Like those guys get outs. So that's before I take the radar gun out of my bag. Like that's a huge part for me for pitchers. Position players, Matt Johnson, my assistant, and I joke all the time. If you're a left-handed hitter and you're athletic and you wear high socks, they're going to recruit you. That's not actually the case. Seems to be what we do. No, we want guys to play the game the right way. Physically, like I don't need like behemoths. I just want good athletes. I want twitchy athletes. For me, like it stands out a lot for me for a position player. Like when you're out of field and you know that coaches are there and you still don't run hard down the line, that means a lot to me. But yeah, guys that play the game the right way, that run the bases hard, play good defense. Like, and for me, like offensively, I'm always recruiting bat speed, number one, first and foremost. Like if you have good bat speed, I think we can teach you approach. If you need swing adjustments, we can teach that. But bat speed it's critical for me. But that's like the finer details of like when we're really making decisions on guys. You're asking about what's first stands out. Guys that run hard and play good defense and have just a good presence and look like they want to be on the baseball field. Again, going back to like I want to be around guys that make me excited to be with them every day. Like that's stuff that makes me excited. Perfect example of this, and it's a Nichols player, but it's a perfect example. Coach Mayo, Johnny Knox, who's an All-American last year. He's now the second baseman at Quinnipiac for his fifth year. He was recruited to Nichols mainly by Coach Mayo because he liked how he played. Like he was when we recruited him, he was undersized. Like he could swing, but he played good defense, but like was not an All-American level player. But he played the game hard. And we evaluated the person correctly. And he got there and he worked his butt off and turned himself into an All-American. Like so it's not always about the tools, and the physicality isn't always everything. Like those are nice things to have. Like the perfect example here is right now Jack Kane, he's a freshman, he's hitting over 500. He's the best player on our team. We knew we were getting a really, really good player, but he also plays the game the right way. Down 5 in the 9th inning yesterday, he grounded out and ran really hard, and the umpire blew the call, and I lost my mind. But the point is he busted his butt down the line. That's really what we look for, because that also helps you evaluate the person, which is, in my opinion, more important. One thing that I see a lot, so I'll throw this out there for any young guys that might watch this. If you make your mom carry your baseball bag from the field to the car, I'm not recruiting you. And that happens a lot. Like, I see it. I was at Diamond Nation one time in New Jersey, and I saw a kid walk off the field and hand his baseball bag right to his mom. And I was about to call the kid, and he handed his bag right to his mom, and she carried his bag off the field to the car for him. So all that stuff, coaches are watching everything.
Dude, I tell kids don't even get Gatorades from your parents. Like, do it
Yeah.
all on your own.
Be an adult. You're 16, 17, 18 years old. You get here, mom ain't going to be here at practice to give you a Gatorade. Mom ain't going to be here to carry your bag from the field. We got a nice little hike up to our field every day. Um, your mommy ain't carrying your bag up there for you. We want responsible men. Yeah, everything matters. Literally every little thing matters.
Moving on to the next question of, are you more likely to recruit kids from team camps and college showcases, or going to watch them play in like a perfect game or a prospect select?
I would, for me, I don't. So we're not recruiting a guy for a showcase. We need to see you compete. So team camps are, for me, I think, the most important thing. Prospect camps are really important. And for me, the big reason why is you're showing interest in our program, especially a prospect camp. If you're interested in a school, number one, you get to be coached by their coaching staff. You get to be on their campus and kind of as close to possible that actually being on the team. You get to live through what a day would be like a little bit. Our recruiting process starts in high school. We try to get out and really see as many guys as possible in high school, because that's the most competitive, meaningful environment that they're going to have before they get to college. Obviously everyone wants to win in the summer and win in the fall, but high school, you're playing for your school, you're playing for your town. There's something big on the line basically every game. So we try to see as many guys as possible in high school, and then we follow them through the summer. I like the camps, that we can really interact with guys at. So team camps and prospect camps, all of that. We can talk to guys, we can kind of pick their brain a little bit. We can talk to them on the field. That stuff's really beneficial. But really, to answer the question broadly, anywhere that we can see them compete at in a highly competitive environment is really important for us. That's why everything has its place. PBR showcases and perfect game showcases, they have their place, but there's really no competitive aspect to it, other than just trying to get recruited. Everyone's trying to get recruited. Everybody wants to go play at Vanderbilt. Everybody wants to go play at UConn. But what are you going to do when the game actually matters? Do you understand the game? What's happening in your chest and between the ears? You really can't get that in a showcase environment. So
A lot of things that I tell our kids of I like the prospect and kind of the team camps more, essentially more of the prospect camp, because it's the first time you as a coach gets to see that kid on his own, because he's not with his team and he's not comfortable of, all right, what's this kid going to do on his own? Is he going to go 3 for 3 where he did in the last game? Or is he going to essentially not figure it out, go 0 for 3, not hustle down the line, boot a ball in the hole and then throw it away? I feel like you learn a lot more from a guy at a prospect camp. And that's kind of why I tell kids the prospect camp, you get a lot out of it due to the fact of it's you on that solo island of what are you going to do in front of these coaches? And now you don't have those teammates to be comfortable. So it's, you made an error. You're going to get a hit your next at bat. If you don't get a hit, you're going to have a 12 pitch at bat and maybe get a quality at bat out of it and kind of do something with your day that's different than, all right, I got teammates to pick me up.
yeah, it's a good point. Kind of make them uncomfortable, take them out of their environment. Another thing we like to do at our prospect camps is we don't coach the bases. Like, are you just going to get on first base and steal right away? Are you going to be aggressive? Are you gonna understand how to read a throw from an outfielder with the ball in front of you? Just kind of trying to make them aware, force them to be self-aware on the field and make them any way to make them uncomfortable. Yeah, that's all good stuff.
Parents think I'm crazy when I coach any of those showcases of I don't coach the bases, and you've seen it because you guys don't want to watch me coach the bases. and tell
No.
that guy to go home. You
Yeah.
want that guy to steal on the second pitch, go first to second, guy throws the ball away, he takes third on his own. It's essentially, and all the time, every summer, I get the same question of why don't you coach the bases? Yes, if we play in the Boston Open, I will coach the bases.
Hmm.
But if we're at a team camp or a showcase, they don't want to see me coach the bases,
Yeah.
and
Your
people
job is to
think
be
I
behind the
am
backstop
crazy.
talking to the coaches.
Right, but they think I'm crazy. And I'm like, "You do not understand how this works."
Yeah.
And
Not
that's
crazy.
why you're
Confirmed,
here.
not crazy.
Right. Next question of, do you guys use the transfer portal for recruiting now that you obviously kind of established the program, essentially, obviously not to your standards, but pretty much to where you want to be at the current moment? And do you believe that the transfer portal is helping the sport of baseball?
It's a loaded question. So first off, our program will always be the foundation of our program will always be from young high school players and getting them here and developing them, and like turning them into the best possible player they can be over their career. That will always be the foundation of our program. With that being said, like we'll always look to backfill the roster through the portal. We're not going to ever be transfer you here. We have a few now, like, some of our best players are transfers. Ryan Shaw, I mentioned he was a transfer from US Boston during our club season. Chase Wayne, who's coming back from Tommy John right now. He was our number one last year. He's a transfer, but really for the most part, we're always going to look to, build our program through the high school route. The second part, do I think it's ruining baseball? I don't think it's necessarily ruining college baseball. I think that the NCAA should definitely have some rules on it, like the fact that there's no repercussion at all for moving up or moving down. Like when we were playing, like if you wanted to go up, you had to sit out.
No, if you went 3-2 or 2-1, you didn't have to sit out. If you went 1-1, you had to sit out.
You're right. You're
Or
right. You're
two
right.
to,
You're right.
or essentially 2-2, you could kind of essentially have them vote of like you didn't have to sit out in conference if you
Yeah,
wanted to. Or now it's kind of just all over the place of
that's right for all.
whatever. Right. Which
Yeah,
is, again, I mean, Miles is the perfect example for us. Like went from
yeah.
Clark and played with us, right?
One of the
And
best
had,
areas in NCAA history.
right. But those opportunities were still there then. It wasn't the only part that's different now is the free for all.
True. Yeah. And for me, like those opportunities should be there. Like for a guy that excels at one level and has an opportunity to put himself in a better financial or, baseball situation, like they should 100% have that opportunity. But it also goes back to the recruiting process. Like, are you making the decision where you're going for the right reasons? Like it kind of now that you don't necessarily have to out of high school, because if you mess up, then there's no, you can just correct it right away. So I think it kind of takes away the importance of, finding the right fit for you. It kind of enables the instant gratification aspect of what we were talking about earlier too. Like if you go somewhere and you're not playing, you can just take the path of least resistance. And that's not necessarily might be the best thing for your baseball career in the short term. Absolutely. Like to get another opportunity somewhere, but is that going to be that habit? Is that going to be what's best for you in the long run of your life? I don't think so. So I think in some ways it's really good because it gives guys the opportunity that excel to move up and get a more opportunity. But in some ways, I think we're teaching some of these guys the wrong lessons. I mean, you look in the portal, there's some guys that are transferring every year. Like it doesn't allow them to necessarily look in the mirror and say like, hey, what do I need to do to stick? Or what do I need to do to get better? It's just, oh, well, this coach hates me, so I'm going to go somewhere else and get another opportunity. Um, the life part of it's the most important for me. Like if you get a job and you don't get a promotion, are you just going to quit and go to a different job? Or are you going to try to like be better at your job to get the promotion the next time? Like that's the verbiage we use in our program. Not just like not with this specifically, but just in general, like trying to teach these guys the right thing and the wrong thing. And I think, some of that is good and some of that sends the wrong message.
I think a lot of it too is like kids nowadays, and again, everyone's situation is different, but kids nowadays will be like, let's say you end up at USJ and they're not going to play their freshman year. They enter the portal and think the grass is greener on the other side. And I think a lot of it's kids don't stick it out. I'm not saying any kid ever has to stick it out, but hey, I didn't get 10 at bats my freshman year. I got two. Well, I'm going to go here. Well, what happens when you don't even touch the field there? And it's like, I feel like a lot of it is kind of the misdevelopment of these kids of like, all right, yes, I left and now I'm getting no development over here because I don't even play in the inter squads or whatever it may be. But kids think it's grass is greener on the other side and they enter the portal and it's like, well, I'm going to get a better opportunity here. All right. Well, let's go back to it. You don't have any stats. So where are you going to get a better opportunity? If you're not getting stats here, and again, I always say it all the time, if a coach does you wrong, I understand. But you're just transferring to transfer at this point. And I think next year with the D1 roster cuts of almost 1,500 kids in the portal, it's going to make it a lot harder for that high school senior, junior, whatever it may be in your recruiting year of playing college baseball. Because guys, essentially not you guys, but guys are going to start taking portal only. I mean, I've heard multiple coaches say it, whether it's D1, D2, D3. Oh, I'll take my 2 freshmen and I'll take 5 portal guys. Because a lot of coaches will look at it as they're already established in the game, and I'd have to teach them less than I have to teach a guy coming in out of high school.
And honestly, if this is the case now and it's only going to get worse, those guys that think the grass is always greener, I'm not a data analyst, but I'm willing to bet a large amount of guys go in the portal every spring, summer, fall, whatever, and that's the end of their career. And that's going to be more and more common now because of the Division One. Like roster spots are going to be harder and harder and harder to come by at every single level. So yeah, that's an unfortunate part of it too. Is they think the grass is always greener. They go in the portal. They think they're going to get all this interest. Like you said, they don't have any stats because they're leaving for a reason. And now, like, where are they going to go? Their name's just going to sit in the portal forever.
I think a part that's going to get real interesting is going to be that D1 guy that's, let's say he's a freshman and he gets hurt his freshman fall and he's going to have to transfer out because D1's going to need all the guys they can, whether it's 32 or 34, and then they're going to have to bring in another guy. But it's like, I think my brother said it of like, it's going to make D3 baseball better because now those guys are going to go to a D3 school, they're going to play, and they're going to make the game better. So now those teams that were those low end teams are going to end up getting those guys that the mid level guys got. And now those guys that are those higher ceiling teams of in the last couple of years, let's say Eastern, Salve, and Endicott, you're going to still get those high guys, but now those middle and lower pack guys are going to be able to compete with those guys.
Yep. It's going to get really, really interesting.
Right, but I think it's going to be better for the game at certain levels. The D1 Power 5 schools are going to be the same no matter what. But the D3s of in our area, there's what seems like one every 20 miles, right? Whether you go to Maine or you go to down to New Jersey, but it's going to make those teams better and it's going to make the game more competitive. My last question about recruiting is what's the best advice you personally would give an athlete trying to play college baseball?
Go where you can play. This is like a perfect segue because what we're talking about now. There's a lot of times that like we'll see a kid commit somewhere and we're like right away, like everyone involved knows that that's just not a good decision. For a lot of reasons, whether like they're not good enough to play there, it's not a good fit, whatever it is. So number one, do your research, like generate a list of schools that you're interested in for your life first. Like the baseball side will take care of itself if you do it the right way, but schools that fit you, what you're looking for, location, geographically, majors, size, whatever you're looking for, start generating that list as early as possible. And then from there, go to their prospect camp. Because number one, anyone that tells you that prospect camps are not money grabs are lying. Like they're lying. Like coaches, make money from prospect camps. It's a fact. So like no one should sugarcoat that. But at the same time, as a player, you're also getting you're paying for a very good opportunity. You're showing interest in the school. You're being evaluated by a coaching staff that you're interested in, and you're being able to get coached by them to see what it would look like for you. So that's, definitely what I would recommend is start with a list, do your research, look at the roster, look at the types of kids that go there. Even I don't necessarily recruit this way, but, look up the starting. If you're a shortstop, look up the start, and you want to go to UConn, look up the starting shortstop from UConn's PBR numbers and see if you're when he was in high school, and see if you're even in the mix, or even close. Because you don't want to go to if you're going to go to these prospect camps, you want to be realistic too. After you've done your research and reach out to the coaches, send emails, and go to their prospect camps. So the email part, I could talk to you for a whole other podcast about the importance of emails. Number one, college coaches know if your mom and dad wrote it. And no, not even, it's not hard to tell. And number two, like, do your research about the program before you email the school. Because I saw something on Twitter the other day, like lazy outreach gets lazy results. I was talking to about like reaching out to college coaches. Like, I'm preparing for 3 conference games this weekend. So like, if you didn't have the time to look up, like what majors we have here, and you put that you're an architecture major, you want to study architecture, and we don't have architecture, I'm probably not replying to your email before 3 conference games this weekend. But if you send me a really good email and you say like, I want to study health science, and I love what you have, like whatever, and it's clear that you've, shown interest and you've put some time into researching our program. I don't need a whole essay on our bio over here, but just show that you've put some time into it. You'll get it 100% get a response from me. And I'm willing to bet you'd get a response from every other coach too. That's a huge part of it.
I mean, with that too, I feel like, again, if people don't want to listen to their coaches, whether it be travel ball, high school, whatever, that are trying to help them, Twitter is now one of the easiest things for kids to do. So essentially, you write your nice email, like you just said, right? We don't have to send our old school what we did, and most of us didn't even really do it, of like, all right, you fielded 5 ground balls, you took 10 swings, you threw 5 strikes, whatever it may be. Now you can just tag your link of what your Twitter profile is, and these coaches will be like, all right, well, let's just say this kid's in National Honor Society, that's on his thing, whatever his information is in there, and then all this video of like, all right, well, this kid wrote a great email, his swing's okay, and he throws the ball pretty well. There's something you might like about that. Whereas back in the day, nobody is watching those minute 30 long videos of those recruiting videos. Yes, some coaches might have, but it's like they're more honestly probably making fun of that you sent a minute long clip of staged fielding and staged hitting. And it's like, forgot what coach said it, of like, Twitter is great for a lot of things. And I think it was Consamagno at UMass. He said it's great for a lot of things, and the things I see on Twitter are some of the craziest things I've ever seen. It's like I had a recruit reach out to me of him hitting shirtless in the snow off a tee. Like, so it's just kind of going about it the right way of like, use Twitter as your platform of like, here it is. Guys are on bus rides. I think we are talking to Chad about it at Amherst, and he's like, I could just scroll my phone. I'm sitting on a bus. I don't have to read 8,000 emails of whatever video it may be, but I could just scroll and look through if I like you and reach out to you on there directly and just send you a message.
Funny you said that, because it's when you were talking about like the guy hitting shirtless at the snow, made me think it's almost that time of year when everyone jumps in the portal, all the pitchers that like walk 16 guys per inning, and they put the video up of their bullpens, and they're like 96, and every pitch is like going to the backstop. Like, it's almost that time of year. You look it up, and look them up, and they have like 14 walks in 3 innings. But the quality of video, that's important. Like, if you're a hitter, you bet, like, I need video from or a pitcher too. Like, open side video close up for in game is really important. Like, I'll get a lot of video from kids, and it's like from like their right-handed hitter, and the videos from like the left field like line.
And their parents are 15 rows up in the stands,
15
where
rows up, and like you can barely even see like the
it looks
kid.
like an ant on the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't necessarily like care about like where the ball went. I care about what your swing looks like. So I think that's sometimes not always understood. Like, if you send me a stat, you kind of said this before, but if you send me a stat line from last weekend, like you went 4 for 4, 3 doubles, that's awesome. But like, were you facing 65 or were you facing 85? Like, I have no idea. I need to know, like, you have to recruit tools more
I think
than
a lot.
really anything.
I think the nice part of kind of what you just said there, right, with the 4 for 4. Now we live in the era of perfect game and prospect select, though, so you can go back and look at those games because everything's updated. Of like, all right, this kid was 82 to 85. Yeah, I might not get that guy because he's a sophomore at 82 to 85, but that guy could hit off of him. Like, that might open an avenue, which
For,
again goes back to social media does help at some point,
for sure.
but it has to be the right way.
For sure.
All right, I want to move in. Obviously, you're a pitching guy. I'm a hitting guy. I don't really love pitching. You know that, but
You pitched back a little
I
bit.
did. I tried. Not well.
You threw it.
It's I threw the ball hard. That's it. I kind of want you to run us through what a normal practice day looks like for a USJ pitcher. Kind of break it down, essentially, if you want to break it down by fall, winter, and then like in essentially now with what is your spring season. And obviously, kind of just make it like a general consensus. Doesn't have to be per reliever, per starter, whatever it may be.
Okay. Yeah. So fall and spring are very similar. Each guy is like on a 5-day plan. So we have the days are all, we have a name for each day. So it's recovery day, weakness day, bullpen day, tune-up day, game day. So every day, so each guy, we have a grid, and each guy is put on their specific day. Especially like for in season, it's really important for obviously for starters, but for relievers too. And each day has drill work, running, throwing work involved. Like every single day has their specific, like what you're doing on each day. So like obviously like your recovery day is the day after you would throw. So that comes with like minimal throwing, 20-minute flush, a lot of like just recovery body work. So we'll do some dry work, like, so just get back into your mechanics. We'll do water bag work, towel drills, stuff like that. And then it's a lot of just like crushing your body, especially if like you threw a lot of pitches. If you're a reliever and like, let's say we play on like Thursday, Saturday, we're not going to crush you on a Friday. So we change it up as, especially in season. The weakness day is exactly what it sounds like. So each guy, based off of your last outing or what's kind of been happening recently in your work, we'll kind of target your weaknesses. So we have a bunch of drills that we'll have, and we'll list it out on what you're doing to attack your weaknesses. Your bullpen day is exactly what it sounds like. It's your bullpen day. A huge thing for us is, especially recently, we've been hitting a lot of guys. So we've been putting a lot of emphasis on stand-ins, like live body stand-ins. Like it's great you can throw 87, but can you do that with a live human body standing there? You're trying not like put our starting shortstop in there. Like you hit him, there could be some repercussions for that. So like, can you throw it over the plate? Can you execute a fastball down and in on him? That's your bullpen day. And then tune-up day is the day before you get on the mound. So that's more of like a short box day. That day is all focused on repeating. It's everything sets of 2, usually like 12 pitches off the mound the day before you throw. So like relievers, for example, are doing a lot of tune-up days because, you don't necessarily have your bullpens are, especially if we're using you a lot, your bullpens are your live days, like when you're in the game. So a lot of our relievers, our top relievers are doing a lot of tune-up days, just short work, feeling themselves riding down a slope the day before they throw, and then game day is game day. They run every day. They start their day. They stretch with the team, no matter what day they're on. They stretch with the team, and then they go right into ladders and hurdles, like hip mobility work. And then from there, they go right into prehab. I don't like cookie cut what they do for like plyo balls and stuff like that. I let them, as long as they have their own routine and they stick to it, that's what's important to me. Not every pitcher is the same. Obviously, I think we're finally in the day and age where like pitching coaches understand that, where not everybody needs to throw the same way. Not everybody needs to act the same way. Like Aaron LaRose just went 8 shutout for us on Tuesday in a conference game. He's a freshman and he's like joking around in between innings. Some guys try to joke around in between innings and they're going to get rocked. So, try to treat every single pitcher differently because they're all different. And then they go from right after their bands and their plyos, they go right into whatever throwing work they have, which is assigned based off of, the day that they're on that I talked about before. Again, that's really, and then after their throwing work, if we have team D, bunty, papa priority, whatever it is, they would obviously be a part of that. And then it's their recovery. It's the recovery work. So whatever running they have for their day based off of what day they're on, and then their like actual recovery, their band pull aparts and their plyos, their rebounders, all that stuff, their decelerator work. That's really their general day. It's very similar fall and spring. The timing is different because we're only going 4 or 5 days a week in the fall. So the days might be adjusted here and there, but it's very similar. And then in the winter, I give them all a throwing program to follow. So it's actually exactly what Pelkey did for us at Pierce. It's a calendar each day. It has your throwing distances. I do it times, not timed throwing, not number of throws, because that kind of gives them, depending on how they feel, they can throw more, they can throw less. And then obviously like their bullpen buildups and their live buildups, pitch counts and pitch types and arsenals and stuff like that, all the way up until. So we start usually like right around December, like mid December, second week of December, and I build them up to the end of January, and then we go live, usually like one of our first practices in the spring. That was as abbreviated as of an answer as I could give you there.
That was good. So, kind of going off of that, the coolest part I got of what you said is like everyone's different, right? I feel like we're in the world of everyone's the same coach wise or coaching, and everyone's different. So there's like that no middle ground anymore. But it's cool to see of like how coaches are kind of that are our age are now adapting to like everybody is different. It's always been that way, but it's also like you've always got punished as a team. And it's like you win as a team and you do all this as a team. Well, it starts with you being yourself and then helping the team. And I think it's kind of a cool point that you made there.
Yeah, this could turn into the Coach King podcast, but I got that from Coach King because I'll never forget my freshman year team meeting before the season started. He was talking about our pitching staff, and he said he's something along the lines of, "We got righties from here, we got righties from here, we got righties from here, we got lefties." Same thing with lefties. It's like we're all different, and I'll never forget that. And that's really where that thought process came for and belief came from for me.
We kind of touched on this a little bit, but if you got anything else to add, I'll still ask it to you. Do you think it's important for freshman pitchers to get game experience in their freshman year to have success down the road?
Like freshmen, like to pitch as a freshman if they earn it, right? Like you have to, for me, like you have to do it in practice to do it in game. And if you do it in game, you're going to continue to do it in game. Not necessarily like if to have a good college career, obviously you need to pitch and you need to do it well. But it starts in practice. Like you're not gonna win anything in the game because you have to win it in practice before you get to that point. And some programs might do it differently, but that's just my belief. Is let's start in freshman fall. And something a lot of young guys don't understand is the fall is the most important time of year. If you suck in the fall, chances are you're going to be buried in the spring to start, at least.
Unless you get that hot streak of right before you get back from that winter break.
Correct. And you better be hot.
Right. You got to be the best guy on the team.
Yeah. Because I mean, like we're deciding on, like I told our hitters a lot this preseason, like right now, like we have 3 weeks to go. We're focusing on 15 guys. Like, and we have like 25 hitters. We're focusing on 15 guys. They're trying to get them ready for the season. And those 15 guys are the guys that played well in the fall. Same thing with pitchers. You need to let's attack practice in the fall first, and let's throw strikes during bunt D so you're not wasting our time. Let's attack the zone in our lives, and then you'll get the opportunity to pitch in game. And if you do that well, like again, I mentioned it before, Aaron LaRose is a freshman for us. He's our number 2 starter as a freshman. Why? He throws 82, 84, but he throws strikes, and he has a really good cutter, and he throws
earned it.
strikes.
Right. He earned it. Right.
He earned it. He was one of our best pitchers in the fall. He actually got the yips in the preseason for like 3 days, but he came right back, and he's 65% strikes every single time he throws.
All right. I want to touch a little bit on development. Are you guys at USJ open to recruits about the development that needs to be put in before arriving to campus?
Yeah. The biggest thing I always say is physical. Like you need to be physical, as strong as possible. Like I think you would agree too, from like what you've seen. The guys that are able to compete as freshmen are the ones that are most physically ready to do it. Like if you're going to a baseball program, like a good program, you're a good player. Like you can play the game. But especially now, and it's starting to weed itself out a little bit, but like there's still really old players in college baseball. So if you want to be a 17, 18-year-old competing against a 22 or 23-year-old, you have to be as strong as possible. So that's something like when I'm asked that question by the guys, I always tell them that, and we give them as many resources as we can before they get to campus. We'll send them our strength programs. We'll get them in contact with our nutrition people if they ask, just trying to help them any way they can. So when they get here, they're hitting the ground running.
So most coaches that I've talked to on the podcast so far is pretty much said lifting nowadays is kind of separated kind of the recruits. I feel like when we were playing, lifting wasn't really like it was a thing, but it wasn't a thing. Like it wasn't, all right, you have to lift 4 days a week. You have to do your bands 5 days a week. You got to do X, X, and X, right? I feel like nowadays those kids that are lifting essentially at an earlier age, right? Like the sophomores and juniors, some even freshmen, if they're ready for it, are the guys that are more advanced in today's game of they're ready to play because they're stronger than most kids. Like I jokingly said with one of our recruits that's going to Marist, I think he said he's 175 pounds in the outfield. And like to me, because I'm a bigger guy, I thought that was small. And that and you look at now I look at Division One baseball and I look at guys like it's a variety again, it's a variety of kids going to different, all right, this is how they are, this is how they are, right? But you better be strong at that 175 compared to that 195 because that guy that's 195 probably going to outrun you, probably going to out hit you, and probably going to out throw you.
Yeah, I think it's like we've mentioned it a couple times, but like the new age versus the old age of baseball. Like 10, 15, 20 years ago, like if like you're supposed to be loose and limber and like scrawny, and that was like how baseball players are supposed to be. Now it's like no, like we don't need to be power lifters, but like we got to be you got to be physical. So like our strength coach here, he's awesome because he sees that and he's bought into that. Like he's like in his 40s, 50s, but like he's not like old school where like, oh, baseball players shouldn't be big. Like look at the best teams in the country. They're pretty big.
Very big
Yeah.
compared to as a whole, 1 through 40 or whatever their
Yeah.
roster is.
Oh yeah.
There's like, again, essentially you can call them outliers, but there's like 2 to 3 kids on those teams that are the smaller end of their team, but it's like they're the bigger end of everyone else's team. So it's you got to be physically strong now. Moving on into roster, do you guys have a limit at USJ on roster size?
We don't. I have like a general in my head. Like so from the administration, no, we don't. But like I don't really ever want to be above 50. We're close to it now. We actually might go over it next year, but that's because we had to bring in 32 the first year. So like the next 2 years are going to be our biggest rosters we ever have. I'm more comfortable like 45, like kind of where we're at now. Next year's class will put us over because nobody's been graduating really because we've been so young. So that's the blessing and the curse of like bringing in as many guys as we did up front is like we got a lot of good players, but we can't not bring in freshmen every year because then if we didn't, then it would be a never ending cycle of like once that every 4 years that you'd have a big class that graduates and you would never be able to break it. So yeah, bigger roster than we would like next year. But then once that first class starts to graduate, we'll start to kind of self-regulate a little bit better.
Last question about roster. Can you explain how you guys build out the roster, meaning you or obviously your coaches, meaning the breakdown of pitchers and position players and how that benefits you guys on the field?
Yeah, it's usually like 50-50 pitchers, position players. And people think that that's crazy that we have that many pitchers. But then I always say, like,
It's not like
you can
thinking
count
of
on
when
like
we
three
played.
to four of them sucking. Just like,
Right.
and I'll tell the guys that, like, 3 or 4 of you guys are going to suck. Just you're going to have bad years. 1 or 2 of you are probably going to get hurt. So now we're already down 6 guys. So yeah, and pitching wise, like we really rely on our top eight guys. If you look every year, like those are the guys will throw 8 guys majority of the innings. Top 12 will get into games really for the most part. So that's really your goal is to be. You talk about playing as a freshman. If you want to play, you got to be really as on the mound. You want to be in the top 8 guys, and that those are the guys we'll rely on for the majority of the year. And we actually like looking. I thought I relied on the same guys a lot, or like more than most. And then I was looking at like innings totals across the GNAC, and like the guys that have thrown the most in our league aren't even close to the guys that have thrown the most in other teams. So we try to keep our guys fresh too. At the same time, is be as smart as we can with them.
I think a cool part to touch on is there's a lot more two ways now, especially in our area of Division Three that I see on rosters and guys that are actually getting legitimate innings. Because I feel like when we played, it was focus on one, right? Yeah, we'll explore that option next fall. If you're left-handed pitcher and you want to hit too, we'll explore that next fall. Let's worry about your freshman year. Let's get you on the mound, get you some innings. Whereas now it's like kids are essentially those kids that are more developed and more athletic at a earlier age because they're putting that work in the weight room. They're getting that chance to eat up some innings, let's say in a midweek game, or hey, maybe you might be the closer because you're high eights. You never know, and you're the shortstop. And you come off the out of short and pitch every ninth. Like I feel like that's more common than it used to be, and I think it also has a little bit of benefit to a lot of teams now because they have that option. And like you
Yeah,
said,
like Division 1 roster
right,
limit. That's gonna
right.
that's gonna be more common.
I mean, it's like the DeYoung kid I just saw that's going like a top draft pick out of Poly Prep. He's going to Duke, I believe. But he just threw a no hitter yesterday, and they play in a legit division, but he also hits the ball a billion miles as well.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's going to move towards like maybe some schools are going to start moving towards I'm going to recruit the two-way guys because it's going to help us in the long run.
I'm never like anti two-way. Like if someone asks me about it, I tell them my job is to, number one, help you develop as a person. Number two, develop you as a player. Number three, win baseball games. So like if you're a freshman, you can help us win on both sides of the field. Like why wouldn't I let you do it? And it's a lot, especially for freshmen. Like we have a freshman infielder right now who's a two-way. Got to be careful with his arm. Like especially like you're not physically developed yet. You got to be smart. But we're in the business of winning. So if you can help us win, I'm not going to let my pride get in the way of it.
I think a lot of it too, though, goes back to these kids put so much pressure on themselves. Like talking about you, you're like, I didn't have pressure because I did my job, right? And for you, it was like I get to be a part of something. I think more of the kids that I coach essentially now, or that I see that I've coached that are two ways or keep playing, that's what takes the pressure off. Is like I went 0 for 4 today. If you carry yourself the right way and you put yourself on the mound, like you can do something with that. And I think for some kids, it's a benefit because it's like now I'm not going to go pout in the field. I'm going to actually do something with my day instead of I had 4 terrible plate appearances. Let me go out there and throw 3 solid innings.
Yep, absolutely.
Last question I have for you is: do you guys host a showcase camp or a team camp on campus throughout the year? And if you do, when are they?
We do. We have working through like some changes here, like from an institutional standpoint. So definitely something, like I said, we have done and we're going to definitely try to do again this year, as long as we can get all of our ducks in a row. So don't have the dates yet, but yeah, we've had in the past, we do 2 prospect camps, 2 team camps. I promise you, I will let you know what those
Throw it
dates.
up. I have everybody's up on the website. It's the easiest to
Yeah.
navigate because I just go here and look through. Because essentially, like you said, if you have interest in that school, go to that camp. Well, what kid is going through essentially what? There's 306 Division One schools, and then it just gets more and more. So it's just an easy way to navigate. And all you guys send them to me anyway, so it's easy
Yep.
for me to just add them on there.
Yep. I'll get you those once I have them.
Yeah, perfect. All right, Adam, I want to thank you for joining today's pod, and I wish the Blue Jays the best of luck throughout the rest of the season.